Welcome to Chillin' Ghost Stories, where the scariest tales come to life in the dead of night. Tonight, we venture into the eerie legends of Thailand, a land haunted by vengeful spirits, black magic, and chilling apparitions. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and prepare to face your deepest fears. Let's begin. Chapter 17, The Hand of Blood.
Hydar and Nan arrived at the outskirts of the citadel, where two other armies were waiting. As they looked around, many couldn't help but feel a sense of admiration. The surrounding walls were built with wooden stakes, each as tall as 3 people stacked together. They were joined extremely firmly. Outside, a deep moat, more than 10 meters wide, surrounded the citadel. The only entrance was a wooden bridge leading directly to the city gate, which was now wide open. Finally, we've made it here. Let's go in and capture that demon woman. With those words, Hydar led the way inside, with others following in succession. Based on the testimony of surrendered soldiers, the group headed to Ploy's mansion. This place was enveloped in a terrifyingly gloomy atmosphere. The smell of smoke, corpses, and blood mixed in the wind made everyone shudder, involuntarily raising their hands to cover their noses. This place is no different from hell. Hydar stood before the room's door and kicked it hard. The door shook but couldn't burst open despite its seemingly fragile appearance. Instead, Hydar himself was thrown backward. He was furious and wanted to charge again, but he quickly halted, sensing something unusual. Hydar carefully observed the strange red streaks on the door. They looked like blood threads reaching out from inside, clinging tightly to the wooden surface. After observing for a while, just as he was about to reach out to touch them, they immediately extended outward as if wanting to grab their host and suck blood. Don't touch that, unless you want to become a dried corpse like those over there. Nan's eyes pointed toward 5 dried corpses lying scattered in the courtyard. After examining the corpses closely, everyone shuddered involuntarily. She even killed her own generals. It seems she truly is a terrifying demon. Everyone must be careful. No need to worry. Didn't we already plan before coming here? Just follow that plan. Alright, everyone get into position. Nan said nothing more and turned to go outside. The other 3 each sat in a corner, forming a square surrounding what was identified as Ploy's lair. The 4 were connected by a red thread that ran through many bronze bells. Each person wrapped the thread around their thumb as an anchor point, with both palms pressed together. After settling in, they looked at each other and nodded, all 4 simultaneously shaking their hands while reciting ancient incantations. The red thread appeared to form a boundary, separating 2 worlds. Outside, soldiers curiously watched a battle of magic with demons about to unfold. They couldn't sense anything unusual. But inside, waves of air were gradually condensing, following the chants and bell sounds continuously penetrating through the wooden door into the room, trying to force Ploy to come out. This spell indeed had an effect. Wave after wave, the wooden door began to shake slightly. There were moans coming from inside the room that startled everyone, causing the soldiers to step back. Humph. Looks like we'll catch it easily. Don't be overconfident. Focus on your part. The person didn't reply, just closed their eyes again and followed the rhythm of the other 3's chanting. The chanting grew increasingly faster, as if trying to suffocate the narrow space inside. The moans grew louder, turning into angry hisses. A shrill, growling voice like a beast wanting to pounce on its enemy. Come out here, Hydar thought to himself, I want to kill you with my own hands, to avenge Khorasan. As if sensing Hydar's flame of hatred, from the door, the blood threads reached out toward him. They twisted and contorted, trying to peer straight into Hydar's face, but were blocked by an invisible wall and pushed back inside. Hydar smirked, watching the blood-like substance in front of him curl into the shape of a hand striking the wall. The bells only rang without any damage. It's time. At the signal, all simultaneously turned their palms and pressed them to the ground. The other hand still maintained its position with the red thread. The bell sounds rang, crisp and urgent, mirroring the chanting. Inside the enclosure, much dust rose from the ground, tearing apart the hand formed from blood threads. Inside the room, there was once again screaming in pain. The dust began to twist together like a whirlwind engulfing the room. It compressed tighter and tighter according to the rhythm controlled by the 4 people. The pressure grew heavier, bearing down on the 4 generals. Sweat beaded and ran down each person's face. Yet the control rhythm not only didn't decrease but grew even faster. The whirlwind inside roared, lifting dust everywhere, trying to crush the entire mansion. The sound of wood and stones crashing into each other was crackling. Around them, some places that couldn't withstand it had been crushed. However, the central room still showed no damage. It was still trying to resist the pressure from the 4 people. Everyone must not stop. Though their eyes showed fatigue, they still looked at each other for signals. In their hearts, they all understood clearly. This moment was decisive for the entire battle. They must exert themselves to the end. The sky began to darken, and the wind outside the enclosure also rose in waves. Dark clouds had gathered from somewhere, covering a vast area. It can even draw clouds. This is too frightening. Without anyone's command, all 4 people hurriedly increased their rhythm. Although they didn't know what purpose those dark clouds served, it certainly wasn't a good sign. They had to deal with her quickly. The whirlwind inside had tightened, now only the room remained with many blood threads wrapped around it like a cocoon trying to protect what was inside it. All 4 people shouted, biting their thumb with the tied thread to break skin. Blood from the wounds, like tiny water droplets from their fingertips, was swept into the whirlwind, turning into a rain of blood. The whirlwind's power seemed to increase manifold. Pop! A huge explosion came from inside the cocoon. Black blood sprayed in all directions, caught by the whirlwind. No one could see what was happening, but it seemed the cocoon had been crushed. Thus, whatever was inside wouldn't be able to take form. All 4 now stopped chanting, looking at each other exhaustedly. The whirlwind gradually subsided. Is it dead? The soldiers outside buzzed with questions to each other, also looking toward the 4 generals for answers. But the 4 were still panting heavily, trying to regain their strength, unable to answer. Or perhaps they didn't know the exact answer either, only able to wait for the whirlwind to dissipate for the answer. Hydar raised his head to look at the sky, now pitch black, and frowned. These clouds are too strange. Why are they so dark? Nan and the other 3 also raised their heads to look carefully. They too sensed that strangeness. The clouds seemingly had no intention of dispersing, but rather gathered more and more, bringing rumbling thunder and lightning. Cold wind rushed in, carrying dust flying everywhere. Everyone there, some looking at the clouds, others at the black whirlwind that was dissipating, all had to quickly close their eyes. The wind howled loudly. The surrounding trees also swayed. Quick, look there! Someone's voice screamed, drawing everyone's attention. The whirlwind had almost completely dispersed, revealing a pile of broken bricks and tiles. But strangely, each brick and tile piece was moving, floating down to the ground. That thing isn't dead. Quickly reform the formation. Hydar shouted for the other 3 to hurry and prepare, or else that thing would escape. He clasped his hands and began chanting ancient incantations. The other 3 did likewise. Just as the invisible wall was raised, a lightning bolt from the sky struck straight down into the ruins, causing the ground to explode. All 4 people were thrown back, fortunately caught by the soldiers, their faces all blackened and haggard. Their eyes couldn't hide their extreme terror.